Hi, and welcome to Danny After Dark. If you're new here, make sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss a notification or a new episode. Tonight, I'll be featuring the case of Robert Chambers, also known as the Preppy Killer. This case is a wild one and a pretty well known case, but there are so many twists and turns in this case that I wanted to share it with you guys. So let's go ahead and find out more. Let's go ahead and dive on in. Robert Emmett Chambers Jr. was born on September 25th, 1966. He was raised by his mother, Phyllis. Growing up, he served as an altar boy in church. For schooling, he attended a variety of prep schools on a scholarship as his mother could not afford to pay private school tuition. Robert struggled in school. He had poor grades, displayed it's already going, guys, antisocial behavior, and he would steal and use drugs. Robert would eventually be accepted to attend Boston University, my stomping ground. However, he only completed one semester and then he was asked to leave because of difficulties, one involving a stolen credit card. He went on to commit other petty thefts and burglaries in connection with his drug and alcohol abuse. His professional career, it wasn't any better. He was unable to hold down a job. One night, he was actually issued a summons for disorderly conduct after he left an East Side bar, Dorian's Red Hand, which was located at 300 East 84th Street in Manhattan. Robert destroyed the summons as the police were leaving the scene, yelling, quote, "You fucking cowards, you should stick to," insert a word I'm not going to be saying here, end quote. Robert later was then discharged from an addiction treatment center. He then lived with his mother in an apartment in a townhouse at 11 East 90th Street. Well, so far, just, petty things here and there, but there's going to be a lot more. But a bunch of you come in the chat, so let's see who's here. Hey, Kane, Paul, Mick, Tony, Azrael, Fiddle, Chris James. Let's see, JKS 80s Horseman coming in red hot with a piece of an opinion on this guy. Well, I can't say that you're wrong, but there's so much more to unpack with this guy. Hey, Eric, good to see you. So, Robert, his love life, well, get that off, Eric. Well, it wasn't going any better either. He had a girlfriend, Alex Knapp, but she publicly broke up with him at Dorian's Red Hand Bar on August 26, 1986. Alex was overheard expressing jealousy regarding the presence of an 18-year-old named Jennifer Levin in the bar. Alex threw a bag of condoms at Robert saying, quote, "You can't take these back because you're not using them with me," end quote. That's wild. It turns out Robert was cheating on Alex with Jennifer. After this incident, Robert left the bar with Jennifer. 2 hours later, Jennifer's strangled, half-naked corpse was found by a bicyclist beneath an elm tree on a grassy knoll near 5th Avenue and 83rd Street behind the Metropolitan Museum of Art. Her body had been noticeably bruised with bite marks and cuts. Her bra and shirt were pushed up to her neck, and her skirt was around her waist. Investigators found Jennifer's panties about 50 yards away from her body. The city medical examiner stated that Jennifer, had died of, quote, asphyxiation by strangulation, end quote. And police officials had said there were numerous bruises on her neck, both from the strangulation and from her own fingernails, as she clawed at the killer's hands. Robert, well, he actually watched from nearby as police officers investigated the scene. Investigators were given Robert's name as he was seen leaving the bar with Jennifer. When police arrived to question him at his home, he had fresh scratches on his face and arms. He stated that these were from, quote, cat scratches, end quote. and then he was taken in for custody, in for questioning. Pause. He's blaming a cat? He's really going to blame a cat? Y'all know what you're getting on this channel. I am the cat lady of all cat ladies. And for him to blame his scratches on a cat, not going to happen. Not going to happen here. All right, but we have a few other people here, and that will keep me from getting angry. Hey, James, the Preppy Killer. That's why I want to commit murder. I don't want to be known as the scumbag killer. I mean, James, I feel really hopeful in life now that you actually have a goal that you want to obtain. I think that's so commendable. We can do nothing but be supportive. A whole bag, you say? Yes, fiddle. A whole bag of condoms. I know the Dorians very well. Kane, you can't come in here just dropping stuff like that. But please keep dropping stuff like that. I hope Robert kept his condom receipt. Sometimes you throw condoms at people. How did I know that this was going to be the thing that you guys just like gravitate to? I mean, you guys are nothing if not predictable, and I absolutely love you for it. I was about to say, blame a cat. Oh, I know. The nerve. Eric, I know you don't mean that. Otherwise, if you did, I would absolutely time you out, hon, and you know that. Call him Scratching Post. He's real. I know. Anytime someone goes to blame, there are other true crime cases where people blame dogs too, like in the Murdoch case, the what's her name? I'm blanking it. She had fallen down the steps and the family blamed, she tripped over the dog and that's why she fell and died. She was the housekeeper that helped raise the children, and they blamed the dog. And then years later, aka recently, that didn't happen. It didn't happen with the dog. Stop blaming the animals. I can't even. Should have bought a whole bag of. Oh, God. All right. So where did we leave off? Yes, he was blaming the cat. So when interviewed, Robert, surprisingly, he changed his story several times. Some inconsistencies in his statements were, quote, his cat had been declawed, end quote. Once again, bringing in the cat, but let's continue. He, quote, didn't part from Levin immediately upon leaving the bar, end quote. Quote, she had parted with him to purchase cigarettes, end quote, even though she didn't smoke. Robert eventually said to police that sometime after he and Jennifer had left the bar, she had asked him for, quote, rough sex, end quote. He claimed Jennifer had tied Robert's hands with her panties and hurt his genitals as she stimulated him. In response, he freed his hands, pushed her off of him, and that is when she was accidentally killed. The examining district attorney said, quote, I've been in this business for a while, and you're the first man I've seen raped in Central Park, end quote. Before Robert was booked, he stated to his father, quote, that fucking bitch, why didn't she leave me alone, end quote. Once the media became aware of his case, they labeled it the Preppy murder. Robert was portrayed as a preppy altar boy with a promising future. Meanwhile, Jennifer, her reputation was attacked. Archbishop Theodore Edgar McCarrick of Newark, New Jersey, wrote a letter of support for Robert's bail application. He knew Robert and his mother, Phyllis, personally because she had been employed as a nurse by Cardinal Terence Cook. In fact, he was also Robert's godfather at his baptism. Robert's family, along with the owner of the bar, Jack Dorian, was able to secure bail for Robert. Bar owner Jack Dorian used his $650,000 East Side townhouse to secure the $150,000 bond that he needed. So Robert, he was now out on bail and remained so for 2 years before his trial. Robert was charged with and tried for 2 counts of second-degree murder. His defense, Well, before we even go into that mess, let's just see where you guys are with the chat. Let's see. All right, James, what are you saying? My sister's cat is an untrust. Oh, it's tried to scratch me and it started to. I don't think it's an untrustworthy villain. I think it just senses who it's dealing with. That's just my opinion. You're supposed to blame the animals. That's why it's a scapegoat, not a scape person. Fiddle, that Canadian education system that you just put out here on the screen, I mean, I can really, really tell. I can really tell. Eat your pizza crust. Hey, Jeffrey, long time no see. Good to see you. I hope you're well. No, it was not a nice one, you guys. No. I just learned the background to the term scapegoat just the other day. James, and people say you can't teach an old dog new tricks. I mean, come on. Please tell me it's a goat that gets out of his pen all the time. Oh my God. Let's see. Now I want pizza. Oh my God, you guys. If you want educated, I'm not your guy. Fiddle, I love your just brutal honesty. All right, you guys. This defense, are you ready for it? I repeat, are you ready for it? So his defense was that Jennifer's death had occurred during, quote, rough sex, end quote. The defense tried to portray Jennifer as a promiscuous woman who kept a, quote, sex diary, end quote. In reality, she had a small notebook that contained the names and phone numbers of her friends and notations of just ordinary day-to-day appointments. The assault on Jennifer's character was met, just as you guessed, with public outrage and protesters. The prosecution stated, quote, in more than 8,000 cases of reported assaults in the last 10 years, this is the first in which a male reported being sexually assaulted by a female, end quote. When the trial went to the jury for deliberation, they were deadlocked for 9 days. A plea bargain was struck, and Robert pled guilty to the lesser crime of manslaughter in the first degree, which is a Class B felony, and to 1 count of burglary, which is a Class C felony, and for his thefts in 1986. He was sentenced to serve, get this, 5 to 15 years, with the sentence for burglary being served concurrently. Well, this must be where the story ends, right? Sadly, not even close. April 1988, a tabloid television program aired, and it was called A Current Affair. And it obtained and broadcasted a home video showing Robert at a party when he was free on bail. In the video, it showed him playing with 4 girls in lingerie, choking himself with his hands while making loud gagging noises, and twisting a Barbie's doll's head off, saying in falsetto, quote, my name is, oops, I think I killed it, end quote. Robert ended up serving most of his 15-year sentence at Auburn State Prison. He was later moved to Clinton Correctional Facility due to his infractions. He assaulted a correctional officer and was cited repeatedly for weapons and drug infractions. About 5 years of his term were served in solitary confinement. Now, let's take a quick pause, because a few of you guys, I already knew what you wanted to jump in on. Rough sex is not a good defense. Paul, correct. Unfortunately, yeah, I think that's all they had to go with. And you know, the defense lawyer, you just got to grab anything you can in a case like this. I'm not condoning it. I think that was just bullshit, and to attack the victim's personality and, you know, to turn something like an appointment book into a sex diary. Come on. But I'm not surprised. It did not surprise me. But I also knew the case. Hey, Corey, good to see you, hun. All right, okay. James is still talking about his recent learning, scapegoat. All right, so let's just quickly educate everybody. first coined in the 16th century to describe the ritual animals that the Jewish community placed their sins onto in preparation for Yom Kippur. They placed their sins on the goats, IOW, then killed them. Well, you learn something new every day, folks. I don't know, James, thank you for bringing education to this channel where Fiddle did not. Okay, what are you saying, Fiddle? Right. Okay, I was hoping somebody else saw that connection, and thank you for being that. Yes, so we see it more recent. Think about when this happened, you guys. And now let's flash forward to now, although it was several years ago now, which seems like yesterday, but Jodi Arias, same type of thing. So clearly history just repeated itself, and it's not a common defense, unfortunately. All right, let's get back to it. So Ellen Levin, the mother of Jennifer Levin, also pleaded before the New York Parole Board to deny his parole. However, February 14th, Valentine's Day, 2003, Robert was released from Auburn Prison. His release was covered by the media. In the same day, a documentary was to air on Dateline, interviewing Robert. He continued to claim that he strangled Jennifer accidentally in a desperate attempt to stop him from hurting him during rough sex in New York's Central Park. Robert moved to Dalton, Georgia with his girlfriend, Shawn Koval. She was one of the women who had appeared in that Barbie doll video that was made before his sentence. About 8 to 9 months after they moved to Manhattan, an apartment in New York, Robert started work at a limousine company in Queens and later in a New Jersey sports trophy manufacturer's engraving plant. Just before Thanksgiving, 2004, Robert was stopped for driving with a suspended driver's license in Manhattan. A search of his car was conducted because he was driving, let me repeat that again. A search of the car he was driving found glassine envelopes containing an unknown substance. November 29th, 2004, Robert was charged with possession of heroin and cocaine, driving with a suspended license, and driving a car without a valid inspection sticker. July 2005, Robert pled guilty, and in August, he was sentenced to a reduced sentence of 90 days in jail and fined just $200 for the license violation. The judge added 10 days to his time because guess why? Robert was an hour late for the hearing. So 90 days plus 10 days. That is all. All right, let's see what you guys are saying in the chat here. Oh my, all the things I'm learning. Yeah, this case, and there's so much more, Kane. There's so much more. We're not even done. I know. We need Bill. Yep, I know where Bill was. Yeah. Not that I'm his keeper or anything, but I just happen to know where Bill is. Okay. So, all right. October 22nd, 2007, Robert was arrested in his apartment and charged with 3 counts of the criminal sale of a controlled substance in the first degree, 3 counts of criminal sale of a controlled substance in the second degree, and 1 count of resisting arrest. Shawn, his partner, was also arrested on 1 count of criminal sale of a controlled substance in the second degree. While being arrested, she struggled with the officers who tried to handcuff Robert on the felony charges. This resulted in one detective suffering a broken thumb. So Robert and Shawn, of course, now charged with running a cocaine operation out of the apartment. December 18th, 2007, Robert appeared in court. The filing claimed that Robert had become an addict at the age of 14, and by 2007 was using 10 to 12 bags of heroin a day. It was also reported that he had used cocaine and was smoking marijuana and taking prescription drugs. Robert planned just to plead insanity. However, prosecutors countered that Robert was a drug dealer and had sold as much as $2,800 in heroin at a time to undercover police. August 11th, 2008, the Manhattan DA's office announced that Robert had pled guilty to selling drugs. So September 2nd, 2008, Robert was sentenced to 19 years on the drug charge. The earliest possible release date for him is in 2024. That is the case of Robert Chambers, also known as the Preppy Killer. So, lots to unpack here. What do you guys think? What blows my mind about this case, he got more time for the drugs than for the murder. Not shocking, because that's the U.S. system, U.S. court system, but it's appalling. It's absolutely appalling. In the end, I think everybody can agree this guy needs to be off the streets. But what a slap in the face to Jennifer's family that he gets out so early on the murder, but selling some drugs, no, stays in for longer. And think about when he was put in jail and sentenced for the 19 years. His earliest possible release date is 2024. We're in 2023 now, so that's just next year. Next year, he could be out walking the streets. That is scary. That is absolutely scary. What we've seen with this guy, and again, this is just my opinion, he doesn't seem to have learned. And he's not the first guy who's out on bail or out in between committing crimes that is filmed doing and saying horrible things that gets put out. There will be another case, a very well-known case that I will be covering that will go much more into this. And it's just the stupidity. I think they think that they are invincible. Like, yeah, record me doing X, Y, and Z. What's going to happen? Nothing. And what did happen in this? When he did that, nothing. It's horrible. All right, bunch, you guys. Let's see. Okay. James is going wild in the chat. Hey, Shelly, good to see you. It reminds me of my dad. It reminds me of my uncle. That shows Neil's from Canada. Legend in the room. Oh, I know. Shelly. Shelly has obtained legend status. I mean, Beckham who? All I know is a Shelly now, and that's fine with me. But yeah, so what do you guys think about this case? Were you guys aware of Robert James, the Preppy Killer? I know somebody had commented on my Instagram post today for this case that I was covering tonight and was, yeah, already clearly well aware of this case and this guy. So that was very cool to see that. All right, somebody else is just thinking what a horrific human being that this guy was. And I was all for it. And all right, what is this? End of the laneway, don't come up the drive. I couldn't get into, what is this, Clay? Corner gas had its moments. All right, I have no idea what you're talking about, but that's totally fine. All right. So just double checking that I didn't miss any of the notes that I just kind of wanted to add to this case because there were so many twists and turns. But the big takeaway that I got from this case, I mean, there were many takeaways, but like the big ones was that, and again, this is not the first case where somebody has done that. More recently, this has happened in the news with another case that I covered on True Crime and Chill, where Jennifer's body was found and Robert was just at the scene watching the police, watching, them attend to her pretty much nude and bruised and beat up body. He's just there watching. Again, that happens quite commonly, but the audacity, it's almost like, again, that feeling of invincibility, and maybe they're getting off on that. I committed that, but I'm here watching with everybody else, and everybody else has no idea. that is the work that I did. That's what I tend to think that might be going through their head, because that's just not a rational thing to do. You'd want to get as far away from the crime scene of a crime that you just committed, but no, he does the opposite. Also, and again, I could go on for this all day, blaming the cat. Not happening here, not happening on Danny After Dark, but not surprising. But like, what an idiot too, to then be interviewed by police and not even, my thing is, if you're gonna lie, just be better at it. Like, make an attempt. And I'm not condoning that, people committing crimes and lying about it to law enforcement. I am not condoning that. But we see time and time again, it's almost like they plan up to a certain point, or they try to, in their mind, get everything. Okay, here's what I'm going to say. Here's what I'm going to do. But then they stop at a certain point. And then, he's blaming scratches from his cat, but then goes on to say his cat is declawed. It's one of those, like, okay, again, if you're going to lie, be better at it. I don't know. It just makes no sense. And then once again, people saying, he's a promising young student, and, the preppy, it's just like leading into this privileged, clearly of a certain class. And it's awful. It's absolutely awful, because the people that were going to bat for him risked a lot. I mean, the owner of the bar put up $650,000 of his home to be able to pay the $150,000 bond on Robert. That's incredible. Why get involved in that? All right. I just ranted a whole bunch. What do you guys have to say about this? Let's see. All right. This is new to me. Oh, okay. Wow. Most people, I don't know, that I find tend to know about this case, they don't necessarily remember the name Robert Chambers, but when you hear the Preppy Killer, that seems to be the, oh, right, I know that case moment. So I'm glad that you didn't know about this case. I'm glad I could inform you about it. So yeah, I'm curious. Okay, since you knew nothing about this, I'm very curious what you took away from this, Israel. Hey, Tony Stewart, good to see you. I know, and Loki was in here too. He was napping on the cat tower, and I booted him out because he's the one that, as I'm reading, will like jump up and like knock over my microphone and step on the keyboard. Like he's that cat. So he had to be removed from the room. But I assure you, he has treats and he is quite happy now. Hey, Norman, good to see you. Beckham. Did the killer wear a polo shirt or something? Well, Beckham, if you go back and listen to the episode, like you should have been doing in the first place, you'll understand why they call him the Preppy Killer. Cat harassers get no retribution. Absolutely. Danny, have you seen the movie Copycat? It's an older film, but about serial killers. I have not. Nope, I have not. Let's see. Oh, here we go with Linda Kasabian. Quote, I didn't do anything. It was a cat. Yeah, cat. Oh, God. The deal of a lifetime. The deal of a lifetime. I got Danny figured out. She keeps the cats out so she gets all the attention. No, what it is no, there's really not that much logic to it. It's when I do cases like this, because I was working on notes yesterday for tonight, and I had one cat like up, there's like a little shelf here you guys can't see. I had, who was here? Luke, and he was laying over, his head is like halfway onto the keypad. I had Loki under there. I had Selena over here. Tuca was over on the food. It was crazy. And of course it's like, okay, now I want attention. So let's jump up and start walking on the keypad. It's just, I don't mind that for the true crimes and chill. I really don't mind. But like for something like this, where I want to just like get out the information, get out the case, that's just a little distracting. just a little. But no, I already know you guys are only here for the cats. I already know. I get it. James, you weren't supposed to give it away. He's supposed to actually watch the episode. I don't remember his name, just the Preppy Killer angle. Yep, Chris, exactly. Absolutely, exactly. Okay, good to know. Good to know. Maybe if I seen the guy, picture of the guy, but you said this happened in 88. So the original murder of Jennifer was in 1986. So yeah, I'm just double checking the date. Yeah, 1986. Obviously there were other crimes along the way, but the murder of Jennifer was in 1986. Yeah, I think his picture, like the picture I used for the thumbnail for this, is probably the most well-known photo of Robert Chambers. So, or one of the most well-known photos. So if you don't recognize his photo from the thumbnail that I used, you're probably not going to recognize him in general. But again, most people, if you say Robert Chambers, it's just such a common name, but Preppy Killer, then it's like, okay. And there have been documentaries on the Preppy Killer too on, what channel is it? I think on Oxygen or A&E. I want to say Oxygen. Yeah. I didn't watch that one though, that documentary, I will say. There have been others that I watched, but that one, it's like I already knew the case. I didn't really feel like I would get more out of it, and I didn't care to get more out of it when they first came out with that documentary. So I did not watch it. But if any of you guys have, by all means, let me know. Let me know what you thought about it. I would have been 8. I was 2. So I definitely would not remember. Hey, Joanne, the photo was on the front of all the New York newspapers. Yep. The guy has to watch Oxygen. Okay. The Oxygen channel is just like straight true crime now. It used to be a mix of crime and reality TV, but it's now strictly true crime, like 24/7 true crime. So it's not bad. Some shows, again, you watch the documentaries and there's like, it's not always done with complete justice, but I would recommend an Oxygen documentary hands down any day over a Netflix one. And that's just my opinion. But yeah, definitely check it out. There are great things on the Oxygen network. You just kind of have to, go weed through it just to get to the good ones. Let's see. Hey, Linda Carroll, good to see you. May have to check it out. Yeah, trust me, it's not like Oxygen has evolved. I think they realized where their market was. And I think true crime has exploded. So yeah, it's just more common now. It's everywhere. It's absolutely everywhere. So I think that was actually smart, because now they have so many other channels that they're competing with. Like the Reels channel, love that channel when they do any true crime documentaries. Love that channel. A few shows on there, I would say never waste your time on. But they do have some really, really good true crime programs as well. Yes, please. Now that Beckham's in the chat, just go for it, Shelly. Just go for it. 1986, I remember watching the Chernobyl accident news. I was too young for that. I was only 2, but that case has fascinated me. And my girlfriend, one of my good friends, Liz, who I actually did the collab with on the Boston Marathon bombings for the Netflix review, she recently read a book and she recommended it to me. Oh my God, oh God, I have to look it up to tell you guys, because it was so, she spoke so highly of it. Shoot. Okay, here it is. The Radium Girls, The Dark Story of America's Shining Women. So that is by Kate Moore. Yeah. So she told me about that. I actually had never heard of that. And I didn't realize so many people did, because I then went to mention it to somebody else. I was like, oh my God, I just learned about this. And they were like, well, yeah, you didn't hear? I'm like, no, I didn't know. She spoke so highly about that book. My friend Liz did. I have to read that book now. Well, it's in my cart, like many other books that are just waiting to be purchased. Because again, I'm weird and I wait till there's like 10 or so, and then I just buy them all at once, and I just go on like a crazy reading binge. So, but yeah, the Radium Girls, that just kind of reminded me of what you said about Chernobyl. Okay. All right. Hi, Joe. Welcome. Good to see you. Mr. Chambers is incarcerated about 5 miles from. Joe, I didn't know that. That is fascinating. So, Joe, I don't know where you just jumped into with this case, but the earliest that he's set to get out is in 2024, which is literally just next year, which is scary. So scary. So, yeah, wild. Let's see. The Radium Girls were the women that had the job of they of disposing the firemen's radiation suits. I think there was more to it than that. Again, I haven't read the book, but my friend Liz really recommended it, and she described it as like they were like using it on their body, on their teeth, just everywhere, and they were told it wasn't bad. Liz can do a way better job of describing because she actually read it. I'm just paraphrasing, but yeah. I know. I can't help it. Sorry. All right. And this is the subsequent drug charges, right? Yeah, Joe, that was the drug charges. I still have my notes pulled up, hon. Yeah. So August 11th, 2008, Robert pled guilty to the selling drugs. And then September 2nd, 2008, Robert was sentenced to the 19 years on the drug charges, which again, I know you came in a little late. More years sentenced them for the actual murder of Jennifer, which, yeah, blows my mind. I didn't realize he was so close to you. That's crazy. I think you're confusing two separate events, but that's okay. That's okay. Oh my God, Tony, flattery here. It'll get you everywhere. Radium Girls painted the dials. Yes, Joe. That's the book. That's okay. That is it. Now that you say that, I'm like, okay. All right. That's exactly what my friend said. Yes. And what did she say too? Again, my friend Liz, she did the collab with me. She read that book. I'm going to have to message her and be like, where the hell were you? I was talking about you and your reading. That they're still so radioactive, even from being, passing away and being buried. It's just like they are extremely radioactive. Again, she describes it when she describes it, it's way better. She actually read the book, so she knows what the hell she's talking about. But oh my God. Hi, UFO Bigfoot. Good to see you. Have not seen you in a bit. Hope you're doing well. Let's see. What, Beckham's on the phone with you crying, feelings and all? Oh, tell him to man up and go get me an iced coffee, for Christ's sakes. You must be Massachusetts' biggest bookworm. I don't know. I tend to like gravitate towards people who like really like to read too. There was on my Danny After Dark Instagram account, there was a meme that I reposted yesterday about like being excited when someone says like, let's go to the bookstore and go shopping, and like the excitement the guy had. And I was like, oh my God, that is me, which is so funny because anybody that knew me in high school, like read, study, please, never, couldn't even catch me in class. And then somehow I went to college and like Oh my God, loved it. Loved learning. It just like totally just like awoken a part of me that I never knew I needed to exist. And I've just been a bookworm ever since. It's just, yeah, I can't get enough reading. Yeah, it's bad. And no, I don't do Audible. Not because I'm shaming Audible. I'm just like very old school and I like to have all my books. And I don't mark them up. I don't fold the pages. I'm very OCD, but I like to have my books so I can reference them later if I need to. Like I like to collect them after I read them and display them in huge book hutch. That's my thing. And Audible, I just need to like sit and physically read a book. So I don't do Audible. But I know Paul, my co-host over at Manson Saga, he does Audible and can't speak enough. He speaks so highly of it, but that works for him. And that, obviously every person's situation or how much time they can give to reading is different. And sometimes Audible's just the best bet because it makes sense. But yeah, no, I'm a total bookworm. Let's see, till your jaw fell off. There are pictures of the girls. I did look them up after my girlfriend Liz told me about the book, and the pictures of these women from the Radium Girls books. Oh my God, just what they physically went through. And again, like, being told by their company, no, this stuff isn't bad. Oh, it blows my mind. Okay. Let's see. Up until the 50s, I believe you could go to the shoe store and they would x-ray your feet to get Oh, I've never heard of that. Never heard of that. Was you any fun in high school or college? No drugs, alcohol. That's more of a talk for a true crime and chill, but no. Okay. Just because I didn't like to go to class in high school doesn't mean I didn't like to have fun. So no, and then I would say like more so college, like I was on the dance team and just, part of so many groups. So I had like a great network of totally different types of friends. I was so active in college. And when I think back, I was just like, okay, overloading on classes, overloading on work, working to put myself through school, and still on the dance team, on the board, one of the choreographers on some of the psychology groups, on the board of those, and still had time to do all these other social. I look back and I'm like, when did I have that much energy? How was there that many hours in a day? But no, I had a lot of fun in college and after. So no, I was fun. So don't let the bookworm thing fool you. No. I'm a big bookworm too. And I just, jealous. Oh, I'll be the first one to say it. I was absolutely teacher's pet in school. This is so fitting, actually, now that I think about it. The Preppy Killer. I was, okay, in high school, again, I'm the first one to say, you could not find me in class. I wasn't there. How the hell I graduated blows my mind. And then to get into, the school I wanted to get into and studying psychology, what I wanted to study, it's just, but yeah, I was the type that like, if I'm not 10 minutes early to class, if I'm later than that, like in my mind, I'm late. I like to be in the front row and I like to have everything set up and ready to go. And even though there were classes where like sometimes there were like over 100 students, I would make a point to get to know and introduce myself to every single teacher personally that I had all through college so that they knew who I was. I'd take advantage of office hours, everything, and graduated with honors. So yeah, there's so many opportunities that I think not everybody takes, but it makes sense. Not everybody wants to be like that, but I totally was. And it pays off. It really does. But no skipping classes, getting high in high school. I didn't say I was getting high in high school, but I did skip classes quite a bit. It's so funny too. One of my friends, she was in the same math class as me senior year. And when I say was in the same class, she actually went to the math class. I didn't. And years later, she mentions like, oh yeah, that's statistics class. I'm like, statistics? I never took statistics. She's like, yeah, you did. You just weren't there ever. And I was like, oh. Okay. It was so funny because I was like, I assure you, I was not in a statistics class. And she's like, of course you weren't, because you never went. But yeah, I think it's just getting into the field that you want to study. It just makes the whole difference. Because even like when you first start college, there's those preliminary classes that everybody just has to get through because they're required, because every call, you know what I mean? And that's a pain. But like when you can dive into what you want to learn, how can that not just like excite you, you know? Maybe, I don't know, maybe it's just me. Hey, undercover mermaid, good to see you. What is this, Tony Stewart? I would try to corrupt you if I was in your school at the time. You corrupt me. I would corrupt you. Are you kidding? Hey, Troy. I would. Oh, yeah, you'd get your ass beat. Joe, Danny, are you familiar with the Top Family Murders? Physical therapist kills family in Celebration, Florida. Changes story. So, no, I'm not. And I've never heard Celebration, Florida. Really? That reminds me of, what case is it? The Toy Box Killer, I believe, was set in, I'm 99% sure it was this case, in the city or town's name was Truth or Consequences. And I was like, how is that possible? But no, okay, I am going to jokes. I don't want to forget, and I want to look that up because that sounds wild. I just want to take a screenshot of that so I remember to look it up. Okay, thank you. Thank you. Interesting. Okay. I had multiple suspensions, expulsions on my school resume. Oh, that's too bad. I was never suspended. James, you don't have to reveal your age, but yeah, that statement's revealing your age. It's so funny. Like, yeah, I like this, just like kind of chill and talk with you guys about our times in school. It's just so funny because I feel like I hated high school, but I love college. Kane, we are same spirited like that. Absolutely. That's exactly what I would say. I hated high school, but I loved college. Loved college. I always, yeah, when I graduated, I was like in tears when I graduated. I just was like, I was so happy because I worked so hard to get that degree. But I was so sad because I really loved it. I really loved learning and studying and being such a part, like involved in the school with like different activities like dance, the psychology committee, and all the friends that I made there. And some of them I'm still super close with to this day, which is just amazing. But yeah, oh my God, when college ended, oh, that was so sad. Yeah. And then the loans comes in and oh God, but luckily again, I tried to work full-time mostly as I went to minimize any debt that I had. Cause yeah, if you can do it, why not? Same. Yeah. Yep. Let's see. My grandmother taught most of the teachers I had. Really? That's funny. So I mentioned this a couple of weeks ago, I think, on one of my True Crime and Chills. Nope. False. I mentioned this on my interview with James, not this James, different James, James from the vinyl record community, when he had me on his channel for an interview. And I mentioned to him, Kane, just going off of that I'm actually still close with my high school psychology teacher. He's quite older now, but we formed a friendship after. And yeah, he's such a big part of my life and was just such a big part of just pushing me towards, what I wanted to do. And yeah, I'm still close with him. We'll meet for lunch every few months and catch up. And, obviously he has grandkids now and all that, but it's really cool because when we all have or most of us, I should say, have like that one teacher that made a difference, that you look back and think, where would I have been without this teacher? Whether it was encouraging or just pushing. And in his case, it was pushing me, knowing I could do better. And I was just passing in, the minimal work. And he's like, no, you're better than this. Do it again. And hand it in. No, you're better than that. Do it again. And it was just, and of course, I'm like, fuck you. But I owe so much to him. Like, he's that teacher for me. And so to be able to still have that relationship it means so much. So that was just a Danny fun fact. Danny still has a toga in her closet. Or I think I missed a comment. Originally from Colchester, Connecticut, near where I grew up, and we're vacationing in Florida. Check it out. Will do. I didn't know you were from Connecticut, Joe. That's pretty, depending on where in Connecticut. I'm not familiar with Colchester, Connecticut, but I'm in Mass. So you're pretty close. Or we're pretty close. If I think you said now you're in New York. Let's see. Okay. There were a few of us that came to high school with a bag of joints every morning's for sale. Tony, I believe you were that. Yeah, that makes so much sense. Tony, it makes so much sense. I was a loner, but I still loved it. Psych and criminal justice. Oh, Undercover Mermaid. I 100% feel you on that. My mom was a high school teacher, so I hated anything below college. Well, that makes so much more sense. Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's funny. I wished I was at that age again. I hated high school. I never had one of those hot ones. Oh, Jesus Christ, James. All right. So we'll start to wind this down unless anybody else would like to share stories of their school years. How fitting with the case of, again, Robert Chambers, the Preppy Killer. So you know what? I am actually really concerned that, let me just highlight him. Joe. Where is Joe? That you are so close to him and he might get out next year. That blows my mind. I'd be curious though, Joe. And again, it's not till next year where he may get out. That's his earliest possible date for release. But some cases, we're seeing this right now with Leslie Van Houten. And that's a different true crime case, a very well-known true crime case. But it just takes over the media. And with this case, I'd be curious to see if it made nationwide news, because the murders certainly made nationwide news. But if he got released, besides New York, where I'd expect it to be big, big news, would it hit the rest of us? Maybe like a link on the side of like MSN.com or Boston.com or something like that, maybe. But that's the stuff I'm always curious about, is some horrific killers that their crimes were covered so nationwide, and then decades later they get out, and sometimes it is big news again, and sometimes it's just like the littlest headline. That stuff I always find fascinating again, but that's media driven. So I could go on and on and on about how the media handles crimes cases. Yeah, but that's a story for another day, folks. Let's see. What's Tony saying now? Middle school, high school was a learning place to be a criminal. Well, I'm really, based on everything you've shared with us tonight, I'm not surprised. I'm surprised you're still here with us and not in jail somewhere, Tony. Oh, man. All right, you guys. Then I became a teacher. Are you really, Kane? If so, what? You don't have to say what you teach, but I'd be very curious. Interesting. Okay. All right, you guys. Well, we're going to wind it down. Again, thank you for hanging out with me for the case of Robert Chambers, the Preppy Killer. There are, again, quite a few documentaries on him. So if that's one that interests you, by all means, check it out. But otherwise, I'm really glad to talk about it with you guys. And I really enjoyed the conversation after, just kind of talking about our high school and college days. It's very cathartic, but also very fitting to this case. It was, yeah. And to think when he got into, I know this was very early on in the case for him, but when he got into Boston University, then was asked to leave. It's like, come on. And no, I did not go to Boston University. So let me just clarify that. I did not go to Boston University, but, being from this area, everybody knows Boston University and has kind of toured and gone around that area. It's in an amazing location in the city. So if you're from Massachusetts, you know what I'm talking about. BU is, yeah, awesome. Absolutely awesome campus. So, okay. All right. Sam, what is this? Robert Chambers was handsome, but he is no Mickey Dolenz. Oh, Sam. Well, Robert Chambers is not my type of attractive. I can see how others would find him attractive, but he's not my type of attractive. But he certainly, Sam, you're right. He's no Mickey Dolenz. Nobody can be Mickey Dolenz in my eyes. He's still my heart, Mickey Dolenz. Okay. All right, you guys. Kenmore Square. Oh, God, Boston. You've got to love Boston. Gotta love Boston. Boston has always been corrupt. Police, feds, courts. We do have a dark history. You are absolutely right, Tony Stewart, but it is what it is. That's a story for another day. All right, everybody. Thank you again for hanging out with me for Danny After Dark. And until next time, remember, we don't live in darkness. Darkness lives in us. Bye, everyone.